¿Qué pasa, YouTube? How's it going, everybody? Have for y'all today the Week 13 match of Pokemon 4 Glory Season 2. This week we are taking on the MEWTWOLOUSE FC, coached by Professor FX. His channel link and stuff will be down in the description below. Now, English is not his first language, but recently he has posted English videos, so if you guys would like to go check him out, definitely go check him out. His link is down below. Fun fact, going into this battle, he is 3rd overall, and we, the Durham Druddigons, are 2nd overall. And I think, depending on which one of us wins this game, we actually should ensure our spot in playoffs. So if I win, I think I'm guaranteed to be in playoffs. If he wins, he's guaranteed to be in playoffs. So yeah, I think we both want to take a W this week, although there is a chance we may play each other in the playoffs as well. But if you guys would like to find out why I brought what I brought and what I expected my opponent to bring, then the team builder is down below, as well as a link to the Pokemon 4 Glory YouTube for you guys to go check out. So let's take a look at the team preview. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of surprised that he did not want to bring the Jirachi, although I guess Jirachi doesn't entirely have the best matchup in this game. Rotom Heat not being on my screen makes me very, very happy, because I would much rather deal with the Meganium than, I guess, like a Rotom Heat or a Swallow potentially, or Girder. I'm not really sure why he brought Meganium. Like, I don't think Meganium should be a problem to my Tangrowth, regardless of what set it is. I am surprised that he brought Gligar and Fortress, though. I didn't expect both of them to be brought, but hey, it is what it is. Mimikyu, of course, is absolutely terrifying, because late game it could potentially Swords Dance and just sweep us. And then Weavile, I only have one dedicated switch into Weavile, and I have to hope that it doesn't get too weakened. So going into this game, I didn't really have too many ideas of what exactly he would want to lead off with, but regardless, I felt like my Cobalion was probably my best lead going into this game, especially because I should be able to get up rocks right away at turn 1. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get this started. Now, I wasn't entirely too sure, again, what he probably wanted to lead with. I was thinking maybe the Fortress could have been a lead. Meganium also, I doubt the Mimikyu he would have led with, and I guess he could have maybe had like a Sash Weavile, though that would have been a little bit odd. But I do end up leading off with my Cobalion, as he is going to be leading off with the Gligar. Turn 1, I'm going to go for the Stealth Rocks. Maybe he would have thought that I had the Taunt, which luckily he just ends up going for the Earthquake. And the reason why I said that was because he might have gone straight for the Earthquake if he expected me to have Taunt, but because he went straight for the Rocks, he didn't expect that. As I'm going to switch out here directly into my Tangrowth. I did initially want to switch into my Mega Aerodactyl, but I don't want it to take any unnecessary damage, so Tangrowth overall was just my safest switch in this scenario, because now what I can basically do is go for the Leech Seed here. I'm pretty positive he's not going to switch directly in to his Meganium, because I can easily just go for the knockoff and get rid of whatever item he wants to have on whatever Pokemon he switches in. As I catch the incoming Fortress with the Leech Seed, this is nice because now I'm going to be able to start getting that little bit of residual damage, plus I will be gaining back HP, as I should be able to go straight for the Hidden Power Fire. Depending on his spread, I may actually be able to knock him out here if I'm not mistaken, but he does unfortunately turn out to have the Aqua Berry, but he actually goes for the Rapid Spin here. Now, I honestly thought that he was going to go for Lair Spikes, which might have actually been a little bit annoying in this game. I'm not sure how much they really would have changed the matchup though, but it would have been annoying to deal with regardless. And I'm going to be able to just fire off another HP Fire here, as he now switches in to his Meganium, and I do a solid little bit of damage to that, honestly, considering that I don't have any special attack investment, and that most likely is a defensive Meganium. So I'm going to go ahead, switch in directly to my Cobalion here, in hopes that he would have gone for maybe a Hidden Power Ice if he had it, or maybe he'll go for a Toxic or something. But he actually does make a really good play here. Goes for the Earthquake. I guess Earthquaking also did cover me potentially switching into my Klefki, Victini as well. So him catching my Cobalion here is actually a little bit annoying, because I do have Swords Dance on this Cobalion, and now I can't as safely set up on Meganium. Regardless though, I do want to get my rocks back up in this match to make it an even playing field, because with him having Rapid Spin on the Fortress, there's a good chance that this Gligar does not have the Defog, which means if I can get rid of the Fortress, which I should be able to, because I'm pretty sure that my entire draft not my entire job, sorry, my entire team in this matchup outspeeds it, so I should be able to stop it from spinning, and then I can hopefully get up a layer of spikes to apply offensive pressure. As I switch directly into my Mega Aerodactyl on the Earthquake, I'm going to go straight for the Ice Fang. I was actually very close to clicking Stone Edge. Like, I was about to click Stone Edge, then I was like, no, Ice Fang, and luckily I did go with my gut on this one, and Ice Fang was the correct play as I get off a huge amount of damage on the Gligar. If I can keep up offensive pressure, I should be able to prevent it from letting it go for a roost, as I'm just going to go safely for the Ice Fang again. I guess in hindsight, what I could have done was potentially gone for the Stone Edge, because he could have potentially switched directly into the Milotic, but he is actually going to decide to sack off the Fortress here, which means I can now get on my spikes for free, and my rocks should be here to stay for the remainder of the battle. As in comes the Weavile, there is a possibility he could go for the Pursuit, because honestly this was a 50-50, but in my opinion he should definitely go for the Ice Shard, because him getting rid of my Aerodactyl means that he gets rid of one huge offensive threat. So I decide to make the hard switch out here. I do have enough HP to live rocks again on one more switch in, as I am able to get a free switch into my Klefki. I'm going to take advantage of this, and I will go straight for a layer of spikes. Even if he had stayed in and tried to go for a Z move or something, I should have been able to live anything he wanted to go for. So getting up this one layer of spikes is going to be excellent, because now I'm going to be able to get off even more residual damage on that Weavile, because again, Weavile is a humongous problem to just my entire draft in general. So I switched directly into my Mega Aerodactyl here, actually thinking that he would try to go for the Earthquake, but he does end up making the correct play and going for the Roost. Unfortunately, this Gligar is a humongous issue for me to deal with. So what I'm going to do is actually go for the Stone Edge here. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I was expecting him to want to switch out, because if he had left in Gligar and allowed me to go for the Ice Fang, I'm pretty sure he expected me to not allow him to just freely go for the Roost again. So in this instance, I thought that he was going to switch into either the Milotic or maybe try to sack off the Meganium, and Stone Edging was still a pretty decent play in my opinion. So I am able to luckily 2 KO the Milotic, which actually turns out to only have max HP without no defensive ease, and I'm able to pick him off with the Aerial Ace. So I'm going to switch out here. Again, just expecting him to want to go safely for the Ice Shard, because why would anybody save a Pokemon that's going to get knocked out by Stealth Rocks? But by allowing me to save my Aerodactyl, I could potentially send it in on Mimikyu Z move, or potentially on this Weavile Z move. Or depending on how things go, maybe just sack it off to get a free switch into something else. So I do bring in my Klefki here again. I believe I end up going for the Reflect. This was honestly a misplay on my part. I should have definitely gone for the Spikes, because that would have allowed me to get a second layer of Spikes, which ensures that Weavile is going to get KO'd upon switching. Yeah, I do have one layer up, but I think Weavile does just barely survive. So yeah, I should have gone for Spikes, then this turn potentially gone for the Reflect on his Earthquake, and then the following turn I could have gone for the Toxic. Either way though, it's not entirely that big of an issue, but I do think that was a misplay on my part, because now I revealed to him that I have Reflect in the first place. And thankfully, I am able to land the Toxic on this Meganium, because now I will be able to put it on a timer, unless for some reason his only offensive move is Earthquake, and he has no Grass Stab or no secondary offensive move. So I am going to be able to get a pretty safe switch into my Tangrowth. This is behind screens that I think only did 1 point of damage. I am not even joking. I looked away, but I don't know. That I think almost just did 0. Honestly. Either way though, with this Meganium now Toxic, I should be able to beat it pretty easily 1v1, but the main reason why I wanted to bring in Tangrowth was because this would allow me to pivot into my Cobalion on the potential hidden power Ice or Fire, and then I can finally find out what the final move is on this Meganium, as he reveals to have the Toxic, which I was not expecting honestly, but it is nice to know that he does have the Toxic, because now this means I cannot as freely try to switch in my Garchomp. So I'm gonna go for the Swords Dance here on the off chance that he just wanted to go for the Earthquake. After going for the Swords Dance, I could have applied some offensive pressure to him and made him probably not want to try to risk switching in Gligar, because a +2 Iron Head on the switch in after Rocks should be able to 2 KO Gligar at the amount of HP that he was at, but he does make the aggressive switch right into the Gligar, and I'm going to just make the safe switch back into my Tangrowth, because at this point I know every move that this Gligar has, my Tangrowth can 100% beat it 1v1 with Leech Seed and Giga Drain if it really comes down to it. So he is going to decide to switch out this turn, as I do expect that. I am going to go for the Hidden Power Fire as I'm able to catch the incoming Meganium. This is excellent because now, along with the hazards, along with the toxic damage, leftovers does not matter on this Meganium. It is getting severely worn down every time it is forced to switch in and out. So at this point, I started thinking about something, and it dawned on me that sub SD Garchomp can probably sweep late game. I need to set it up where I can have up a Reflect and potentially sub up on the Gligar. I can also even sub up on this Meganium if his only offensive move is Giga Drain and he doesn't have any special attack EVs. So that was kind of my thought process at this moment in the battle, that I need to get in Garchomp. The good thing about Garchomp is that I can also just break through Gligar, which at this point Gligar is literally the glue that's holding his team together, that he can just switch in for free on just about everything on my team, and I have no way of stopping that. So I have to make sure to get rid of that. Also, Mimikyu is going to be a problem if I'm not able to get up Garchomp behind a substitute. So I'm going to switch out here directly into my Klefki, because what this allows me to do is get up my second layer of spikes. The second layer of spikes again will guarantee that Weavile will be knocked out upon switching in, and that means it cannot come in and Ice Shard me. It cannot come in and break my Garchomp's potential substitute if I am able to get it up. So I am going to go for my second layer of spikes here, as the toxic damage is finally starting to rack up on this Meganium. Also, by going for the second layer, I could have taken one Earthquake from the Meganium, then potentially have got up my Reflect and been KO'd by another Earthquake. At least that was kind of my thought process or hope at the time, but he actually switches in to his Gligar, which is a little bit better for me, because as soon as I get up this Reflect and I can get a free switch into my Garchomp, this Gligar does not break my substitute with one hit, and then we can go from there. So he is going to go for the Earthquake. Doesn't do entirely too much because this is a physically defensive Gligar, not an offensive Gligar. So I am going to decide to sack off my Aerodactyl here, and this is a good reason as to why I was able to keep it, because now I can sack it off here without anything on my team taking damage and without needing my Garchomp to take an extra hit. So I am able to get a free switch into my Garchomp here, which I know the nickname is incorrect. It's spelled with a Q instead of a G. That was just my fault because I was trying to get the name in there real quickly. So yeah, sorry about that, but I am going to decide to go for the Dragon Claw because I was pretty positive that he was going to stay in, just scouting that to see what exactly I wanted to do. Plus, physically defensive Gligar is stupidly bulky. Like, even at +2, I don't OHKO Gligar unless I'm a Z move. So this turn I decided to go for another Swords Dance on the off chance that he did stay in, expecting me to actually go for the Z move. I guess if he did bring in the Mimikyu, that might have been a little bit annoying because he also could have potentially sacked off the Weavile. But because I am now at +4 and I have one last turn of Reflect, I will be able to go for the substitute. My sub will not be broken because of the Reflect, and then the next turn I can pop my Z move, OHKO the Gligar, and then we go from there. But he actually decides to switch into his Weavile, probably thinking that this turn is the turn I would go for the Z move, and I just get essentially a pretty free substitute. As in comes the Mimikyu. This will allow me to break not only the disguise on the Mimikyu, but actually knock him out the next turn, because I am out of range of where a Life Orb Shadow Sneak is actually able to knock me out, which I did not know until I ran the calc on this turn, and I was like, oh, thank you so much, because if Mimikyu had knocked me out with the Shadow Sneak, that could have been a slight problem potentially, but I'm not entirely too sure. And it turns out that this Mimikyu is actually a Trick Room set, which I was not expecting. Like, Trick Room Mimikyu was probably the last thing on my mind that I thought he would bring, but in this scenario I guess it kind of helps him. I'm not really too sure if it changes anything entirely, as I'm able to knock out the Mimikyu. He is going to decide to bring in the Meganium here, which I still do not know what this thing's final move is, and if it is Giga Drain, I live. If it's HP Ice, I go down. So I'm just gonna leave in Garchomp here, because if I can live, I can get another KO, and it does turn out to be the Giga Drain. Now I am at +4 and I am a Garchomp. This is a Meganium. There is no way this is living, and down goes the Meganium. Now he does Still, unfortunately, have the Trick Room up, so as he ends up bringing in the Gligar here, he is technically going to be faster than me, so I can't pop my Z move, but I do have the 100% counter to this Gligar in the form of my Tangrowth, which I can Leech Seed it and then eventually beat it down with Energy Balls, and that is going to be the victory in my favor. So I'm just going to speed up this last little portion here because it's really not much going on. So we are able to take a pretty dominant victory this week, which is excellent, being able to bounce back from last week. Hopefully we can win our final 2 weeks and head into playoffs, hopefully second overall, or if Dan, I think, loses his next 3 games, then I think that will put us in first if we win all of our 3 games, or if I win more than him, essentially. But either way, I will be more than happy with going into playoffs in second place because, hey, we made playoffs, and at that point, whoo, finals is just right there, baby. So yeah, hopefully y'all did enjoy the video. Make sure to hammer that like button down below. Let me know what you thought about the matchup or about the match in the comment section as well. And then later today will be the team builder video for tomorrow's GBA D-League match. So yeah, with that being said, I will see you all tomorrow. So later, everybody.
Cause my brain and heart are both tied in the knot, and this hinders me from crying a lot. This causing me to show no emotion, but when I said I cared, I wasn't joking. But I guess it's too late for me to become broken. For now, I'm living with no more pain, tears, or hoping. I'm just coasting. Yeah, I said I'm coasting. No more pain, tears, and hoping. For real.